Young Hannah mostly goes to party halls or wine bars, but she has never been to a bar like this. However, he tried not to express himself as much as possible and to melt into the atmosphere. After drinking a few drinks, Young Hannah asked Taekyu. I think they are close friends. Taeyong shook his head. I'm close with Ha Young, but I'm not very close with him. You used to be angry with me just before. Oh, is it? Kwak Do-hoon smiled awkwardly. Ha, don't joke. It's not a joke. Are you friends with me? What the hell is this kid doing? Taekyu said as he filled one of Yang's soju glasses. What do you think of the kids who just teased and bullied their friends when they were in school? I've been through a lot of that. Young Hannah made a surprised expression on her face. Did that really happen? They thought bullying others looked cool to women. Is it really cool for a woman to look at? Is it possible? I hate that kind of person the most in the world. Aha. Did you hear that, Do-hoon? Kwak Do-hoon's stomach was boiling, but he couldn't get angry. If you get angry in a place like this, you will only be making fun of yourself. Kwak Do-hoon asked with a smile. What is Hannah doing? Model? Stewardess. I'm just working. Just what's going on? Maybe a celebrity? Idol. I'll tell you later. This time Taekyu asked a question. Do you like games? Then one of the sheep immediately nodded her head. I like it and am interested in it, but I haven't had a chance to do it a lot. I heard a lot about Taekyu being good at games. Can I recommend a game? There is a great RPG that came out this time. I hadn't slept for 3 days and barely woke up, but I almost cried when I saw the ending. Both of them clapped their hands in love. Really? I want to try it too. Kwak Do-hoon couldn't believe this situation. He's tall and handsome. He was popular with girls when he was in high school and college. And even after joining the company, several female employees expressed their liking. But in this place he was nothing but an invisible person. What's even more absurd is that Hana Young is actively showing affection for Taekyu. What the hell is wrong with this woman that she is doing this to Taekyu? Oh, I don't know what it is, but it's not like this. There was a need for a turning point that would draw attention. Kwak Do-hoon pretended to go to the bathroom for a while, then sat down again, took out his cell phone and car key from his pocket and put it on the table. Good. It was natural. His car is a C-class. The car key was engraved with the Mercedes-Benz logo, a triangular star. As soon as he joined, he bought it in his installments over 36 months. He told everyone around him he was crazy, but he didn't listen. If you didn't drive a foreign car when you were young, when would you drive it? As soon as my salary came in, I felt regret at times as I watched Lisby go out in a lump, but I thought that I did very well for this moment. In fact, the things that Hannah Young is wearing alone are more than the price of a Benz. However, it was difficult to recognize them as they are luxury goods that are difficult to find in stores even in Korea. She somehow thinks that her gaze has been on the car key for a moment, and she smiles to herself, when a valet clerk comes in outside her and she says to one of the sheep, "Are you a Bentley owner? I need to get out of the car in the back. Could you give me the keys for a moment? There will be a night outside. Tell him." Okay. When the staff left, Kwak Do-hoon was bewildered. Bentley? Night. Compared to the Bentley, the Mercedes-Benz C-Class is a compact car. All of a sudden he felt that his horse was shabby. I was about to put the car key back in my pocket, but Taekyu said aloud. Wow. I see you drive a Benz. I took out the car keys as if to brag. Oh no. I don't mean to brag. Okay. Benz is something to be proud of. I also came by car today. Taekyu took out the car key and put it on the table. Surprisingly, the logo was a golden bull. What? Fake. There are people in the world who do not have cars and carry only foreign car keys to look good to women. He was like that when he was in college. Still, whether it's a BMW or a Benz, Lamborghini really has no conscience. Audi, BMW and Mercedes-Benz can be bought even by office workers if they want to. If you're determined to become a Kapoor, a Porsche or Maserati will do too. But not Lamborghini. Unless you're wealthy, you can't even afford the maintenance costs. Kwak Do-hoon deliberately laughed out loud. Ooh. Even if it's a joke, you have to hit it. What Lamborghini? Where did you get that fake key? Did you pick it up? It's not a fake key, it's real. What are you talking about? There is no Lamborghini in front of the bar. I parked it nearby and walked over. Haha. Who believes that? There are Ferraris and Porsches standing side by side in the house, and you say you pick and choose to ride. Dean was surprised. How How did you know about the cars in my parking lot? Every time I go out, I think about what to wear. It's not fun, so stop. Then he immediately said to young Hannah. Hannah-san, what do you think of this? Isn't it rude to brag about with a fake key? At that she said sternly. Are you rude? What do you say to your friends like that? Are you really Taekyu's friend? Oh no. I am. Min Ha-young also said something. I saw Taekyu riding a Lamborghini. What? Really? What kind of car is it? Taekyu said. Was it an Aventador? Young Hannah smiled and said to Taekyu. Taekyu seems to like Lamborghini. It's just because it's there. These days my sister doesn't ride that car very well. My sister says the sedan is comfortable. Then you will be able to drive. Please teach me to drive later. I leave it to the driver every time and I want to try it too. Self-driving cars will come to Korea anyway. Then there will be no need to learn to drive. Oh right. I guess so. Karis' car needs to come to Korea soon. As soon as I get out, I want to ride too. Kwak Do-hoon felt a sense of loss. When he was in elementary, middle and high school, he studied hard and went to a good university, and he managed to manage his grades diligently in college, so he succeeded in breaking through the door of a job at a large corporation. But the guy who did otakujit when he was in school rides a Lamborghini? Should I believe this? Are you trying to make fun of me right now? At that moment, Hannah Yang's cell phone rang. Can I not reply? Your father sent it. Right. You originally said you were going to eat today, didn't you? Young Hannah smiled and said. Yes. What do you mean by eating alone? Taekyu glanced at Kwak Do-hoon. Maybe it was because of drunkenness or something else, but his face was blushing. If it's okay with you, please come here. See you face to face and say hello. 20 minutes later. Seo Ho-young-ho arrived at the bar. Taekyu got up and said hello. Long time no see. Today please just call me Taekyu. Before he came he had already been told. Seo Ho-young-yong said with pleasure. I always wanted to have a drink together, but today the opportunity came. I am very happy. Are you okay in a bar like this? Seo Ho-young-yong smiled. Haha. Of course. When I first started working for the company, I often drank at a place like this with my employees. Isn't good wine more important than where you drink it with whom you drink it? In a way, Taekyu is a harder person to meet than Jin-Hoo Kong. It's a great opportunity to make friends, but where does it matter? Taekyu looked at Kwak Do-hoon and asked. Do you know who this is? What? Think about it. You must have seen it. Looking back, it was kind of familiar. Taeyong said with a smirk. For example, when joining the company or when receiving training for new employees. At that moment he remembered where he had seen it. Kwak Do-hoon got up without realizing it and bent his waist 90 degrees. Hello boss. Taeyong explained. He's my friend and he said he joined SEAL Chemistry. Pyo Young asked Kwak Do-hoon. Which department do you work in? Kwak Do-hoon replied politely. This is the R&D team. Pyo Ho-young smiled. A friend of mine joined our company. This is also a relationship. Then Taekyu said. We are not close enough to be called friends. We just went to high school together, right? That's right. Pyo Ho-young sat down. Kwak Do-hoon didn't know what to do. Although it has been pushed back by Seosong SB now, CL Chemical is one of the largest conglomerates in the world's battery industry. How often would a new employee at a company like this meet the president? Even in a bar like this. Leaving Kwak Do-hoon sitting there without making a sound, Seo Ho-young drank a glass of wine with Taekyu, exchanging jokes and laughter. In addition, President Yang Ho-young showed respect for Taekyu and showed good manners. As he looked at it, his mind went numb. Do you even have a hidden camera from the scene of the affair? Otherwise, this situation could not be explained at all. President Yang Ho-young was drinking and looking at Taekyu. He didn't seem to have anything special on the outside. But after he's been in business for a long time and meeting people, he realizes that looks don't really matter. What matters is the person himself. According to rumors, Taekyu is the only person that Jin-Hoo Kong trusts and discusses. His abilities have already been proven. Nevertheless, he usually wears training clothes, and the fact that he does not appear in the official form is it to hide yourself and make Kong Jin-Hoo stand out more? Come to think of it, he looked like a completely different person. Above all, he thought that there would be no ringing or anything. Among the men of the Chaebol group, there are many who use drugs or go to nightlife. However, Kong Jin-Hoo and Taekyu were clean in that matter. You can tell that person by looking at her friends, and after Kang Jin-ho, she did not look elsewhere and only met one woman. Although the realistic conditions of marriage in the business world cannot be ignored, it is the wish of all parents for their children to be happy. Seeing the two of them together, they seemed to get along well. After drinking a few more drinks, Seo Ho-young-ho said, "I think I should just go." Are you going already? Haha. Young people are playing, so what am I going to do with myself? I have to go to Hungary early tomorrow, so I'll go home first and get some rest. Taekyu and Kwak Do-hoon got up to see off. A Mercedes-Benz S-Class Maybach was waiting in front of the bar. Yang Ho-young said before getting into the car, "I really enjoyed today. I hope to have another chance to enjoy a drink like this again in the future. I will go to work with my friend sometime." Friend here means Kang Jin-ho, of course. Seo Ho-young said with delight. "Anytime welcome." As he got into the back seat, the driver started the car. Unlike Taekyu, who waved his hand comfortably, Kwak Do-hoon bowed his back deeply. After a while, when the car completely disappeared from view, Kwak Do-hoon asked Taekyu as if arguing. Read more at wuxiax.com. What are you? How do you know our boss? Taekyu wiggled his fingers. It doesn't matter, Do-hana. Then what's important? It means that I have such a close relationship with the president of CL Chemistry. When you were in high school, you teased me for not being okay with me and made me buy bread, so why not send it to the Congo cobalt mine rather than R&D? I will recommend it. At those words, Kwak Do-hoon's face became contemplative. What does that have to do with the cobalt mine? Just like I did the bread shuttle, you can give the miners a cobalt shuttle there. Don't you think it's a good fit for you? Doesn't seem like a good fit for me. I didn't even know where Congo was and I didn't want to go. Wasn't there a civil war there? I don't know what happened, but the classmate I ignored during my school days became a being that even the president of a large corporation could not let go of his words. So now his work life was no different from that in Oh Taekyu's hands. Wait, isn't that really the case? Taekyu patted Kwak Do-hoon on the shoulder and said, "Look at what you do." President Yang Ho-young got up from his seat, and Taekyu and Do-hoon Kwak went off to see off him, leaving only Hana Yang and Ha-young Min at the drinking party. There was an awkward atmosphere between the two of them. Min Ha-young asked cautiously, "How do you know Taekyu?" "We met at the party." "Ah yes." Silence fell again. Ha-young said you were her classmate? "Yes. High school classmate." "Ah, alumni. So, does that mean she's known each other for a long time?" "Looking at the atmosphere, it's not like we've only met once or twice. She avoids seeing me, so why do I see this girl so often? Is she really? She's just friends." Min Ha-young thought too. "Your father is the president of CL Chemical? What the hell is your relationship with Taekyu? You said that you thought you saw a picture, but you were really a celebrity." Min Ha-young picked up a bottle of soju to break her awkwardness. "Hey, would you like a drink?" "Okay." Min Ha-young filled 1 cup of her sheep. Yang Hana mostly drank wine and hardly ever drank soju. And Min Ha-young said she didn't drink her alcohol well in the first place. But when one of the sheep emptied her cup first, Min Ha-young emptied it as well. "I will follow you this time." "Thank you." Again they both emptied their glasses at the same time. "We drink as if we were competing, but Taekyu came back with Kwak Do-hoon." Taeyong smiled and said, You two have already become so close." OTK Company, which started as an investment company, has grown into a huge holding company. Businesses must not only make money, but also contribute to the community. So, we also worked hard in social activities. The number of shared office OTK gates is also increasing in rural areas, and the construction of dormitories for college students is in progress. As promised in advance, the construction companies who provided the site were entrusted with construction, and the construction companies raised the building as if they were competing with each other. I called the owners directly and asked them to build it without any flaws, so they will build it well. Where the process was quick, students could move in immediately from the next semester, and applications were received in advance. The competitive rate for occupancy was several dozen to 1. After OTK Company came out first, universities that were noticing also announced that they would build dormitories. Once again, studio workers and local residents stood up, but this time the students moved as a group. Some universities have responded by relocating the addresses of students who have moved into existing dormitories. In this way, college students will be able to exercise their votes in the local elections to elect the heads of local governments and local councillors. As public opinion also favored the construction of the dormitory, local governments gave permission. The Haman Foundation, established by the OTK Research Center, provided basic science support. In fact, Korea has the highest R&D investment as a percentage of GDP in the world. The problem is that the success rate is unnecessarily high. As long as you invest in something, you will be successful. This meant, in other words, that they never challenged research with a high probability of failure. Therefore, the Haman Foundation has decided to provide intensive support for long-term projects longer than 5 years and research projects with a high probability of failure. In particular, care was taken not to leak research funds unnecessarily. The embezzlement of research funds is not uncommon in Korea. There are different ways to steal. Extortion of labor costs, falsification of documents, submission of fake patents, etc. The reason these corruptions are not eradicated is because the bottom is the bottom anyway, and when an investigation comes out, it is clear who reported it. Professors have a great influence in Korean society. Once caught, not only will you be kicked out of school, but you will also be blocked from getting a job. Professor Ho-min Kim also knew better than anyone about the practices of such academia because he had been a professor for a long time. He created a system that regularly conducts audits and receives anonymous reports to prevent theft of research funds. If the contents of the report are found to be true, they will even guarantee the hiring of the reporter. In the event of fraudulent use, a system was created to prevent future support from receiving support and to recover research funds. And it was decided to revise the guidelines in cooperation with relevant government ministries and make it an administrative rule. Although some professors complained, Professor Ho-min Kim did not back down even a single step. If you don't like it, you don't get support. What does it mean to get support but not to get an appreciation? The establishment of a foundation for the victims of the Japanese colonial period was also carried out gradually. It is worth 5 trillion won. He didn't mention it directly, but everyone knows where the money comes from. The Sankei Shimbun and others denounced it as theft that is given to Koreans while robbing the Japanese people of their old age funds, while some members of the Liberal National Party still insisted that Japan apologize and return the money. When I said that I would think about it if I paid the parliamentary tax first, they all shut their mouths. People who value their money like this, why the hell are they making a fuss about me asking me to return my money? China has a lot of antipathy towards me because of the technology hijacking issue of Zhou Ti and the US-China trade dispute. However, after working in Japan, the mood softened a bit. When I hit Japan, all the neighboring countries like it the same. Zhou Cha was relieved that he was not subjected to such a situation, and began to seize control of the joint venture, Zhou Toyota. Toyota's largest shareholder's stake was being ripped to pieces, and disputes between major shareholders were raging on the inside. Japan held a new general election. Despite numerous calls for resignation from within the party, Okazaki did not let go of his post, and the LDP managed to regain power. Although the number of seats was significantly reduced compared to the previous year, Yusuke Okazaki succeeded in ascending to the post of prime minister again. After work, I sat down with Taekyu in the cafe on the first floor and talked. Taekyu was excited about what had happened at the bar a few days ago. It was quite interesting and I listened carefully. So what are you going to do next? If you are bored, you should call me once in a while. Shall we send it to a lithium mine in Chile next time? No, not her, but Min Ha-young and Young Hannah. I don't really care what happens to Kwok Do-hoon or what. Huh. Why are those two? Even if Min Ha-young had originally met, why would Young Hannah come here? I came here because I said I was going to buy you a drink. Is this kid doing this knowingly, or is he doing this because he really doesn't know? Anyway, I'll go first. Where? We have to play with ours. My sister and brother-in-law both came in for dinner tonight. It is a busy schedule in many ways. I was drinking coffee by myself and reading a comic book recommended by Taekyu, and after a while Yuri came down. You waited a long time, senpai? No, sir. Call me comfortably after work. Yuri was dressed in a suit and his blonde hair was neatly tied. It's a little bit, but it seems to exude a financier-like atmosphere. It suits you. Dad used to tease him for pretending to be an adult. Yuri ordered coffee and sat down. I was crazy, but now I can breathe. I heard from Senior Sanjiop that popularity among male employees is no joke. Is there no one you want to date? Yuri shook his head at my words. Where do you have time for love? I'm too busy learning. Since you don't deny it, it looks like someone really hit it. Absolutely. I used to be popular. After joining OTK company, I thought that I should buy a meal sometime, but I was busy with various things and it was difficult to keep up with the time. Yuri asked as she drank her coffee. What are you going to buy me? You should get something delicious. Let's go eat pasta. I have already made a reservation. How about Ellie? I just got a call saying it's over, so I'll be back soon. As soon as she finished speaking, Ellie entered her cafe. Yuri got up quickly and said hello. Hi, sister. Ellie took her little shopping bag from her bag and gave it to her Yuri. It's late, but congratulations on your job. This is a gift. Yuri rejoiced like a child. Thanks, sister. Can I open it now? Of course. It was a small wallet that could be carried in her suit. The inside is designed to hold business cards and cards. There are still many people in the financial world who value business cards, so you will need them. I like it very much. I will write well. What? Let's go eat now. We got into the car and headed to a restaurant in Apgujeong. The restaurant had a European-like atmosphere, and about half of the customers were foreigners. When I went inside and sat down, people started talking about whether they recognized me and Ellie. I'm used to this now, said Ellie. It's a place Jessica and Henry often go these days. Food is food, but beer is especially delicious. I said to Yuri, looking at her menu board. Do whatever you want to eat. Then I won't ask for it. Yuri ordered salad, pasta and lasagna evenly. Beverages were standardized with beer. Ellie asked. How is it? Is the job worth it? I'm having fun while learning. But there are so many things I don't know, so it's a big deal. At Yuri's words, Eli nodded her head as if she understood everything. I was like that when I first joined. I thought I was smart, but for a few months I felt like a complete fool. Did your sister do that too? I made a lot of mistakes and I was very angry with Jessica. Then we became friends. I also said something. Work life is not easy. Then they both looked at me at the same time. What does Jinhoo know about her working life? Yes. The senior went straight to the president. No, wasn't the boss job a job? After a while, the food we ordered came out one after another and we clashed beer glasses. As we were having a conversation, an advertisement for Bester came out on the TV that was turned on in one side of the restaurant. Ellie blushed slightly at her embarrassment and Yuri said admiringly, I love this ad. My sister is really very pretty. She's even a girl that falls in love with. Really? Glass is much prettier in my eyes. Ah, thank you. It's nice to see them exchanging compliments with each other. When should I have a drink with Chairman Ryu Cheol-jayun? You are on a business trip to China. Beijing. Shanghai. Pudong. Shanghai is the largest city in China. The Chinese government developed Pudong, which was like a wasteland, into an economic zone, attracting foreign capital and companies. Shanghai Pudong has been transformed into a high-tech city with high-rise buildings in just 2 or 30 years. If Beijing is the political center of China, Shanghai is the economic center. Based on such growth, a huge political force called the Shanghai Bang was able to emerge. Read more at wuxiax.com. Well, it's all gone now, but only the legacy is maintained. Recently, you hardly come to Korea and you are still in China. RCK Brothers is the largest PF in Asia as well as in Korea. Although M&A is actively carried out in Korea, the proportion of investment in the Chinese market is the largest. Ellie said as if thinking about it. Come to think of it, RCK Brothers was selling some of its assets in China. It is natural for private equity funds to exit. It is. The purpose of industrial capital is to incorporate the purchased company into an affiliate to grow, while financial capital aims to increase the value as much as possible and then sell it. This is called an exit, and it is this exit that is more important than fundraising or deal sourcing. It is only when the investment is recovered and returned to the investors that the return is confirmed. In general, exits are planned in advance before investing, but things don't always go according to plan. In fact, there are surprisingly many cases where the acquisition was successful and the sale failed. I remember Chairman Ryu Cheol-jayun. Are you trying to reduce your weight in China this time? I do not know. But isn't there a lot of talk about the Chinese economy these days? After the trade war with the US, the risks to the Chinese economy have been highlighted. I asked Ellie. What do you think? The theory of the Chinese economic crisis did not happen overnight. There has been talk of debt and statistical manipulation for a long time. Last year, China's growth rate was 6.6%. Baoba's policy of defending 8% growth has long been broken, and now even 7% has been broken. As the Chinese economy has grown to the second largest in the world, it is natural that the growth rate will be slow. In fact, even if the growth rate has fallen, the current 6.6% growth is greater than the previous 10% growth in total. It is natural that the default value is increased. The problem is that even this 6.6% is completely hard to believe. Former British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli put it this way: there are three lies in the world: plausible lies, blatant lies, and statistics. The reason why this word is still used as a saying is because manipulating statistics is not uncommon. Companies can boost their market cap by changing just a few numbers in their financial statements. If a country also manipulates statistics, it can appear that the economy is growing at any time. In fact, there is only a difference in degree, and it is also something the government of any country does little by little. After the Nishida securities crisis, it was revealed that Japan had been manipulating economic indicators. The purpose is, of course, to inflate the achievements of economics. South Korea also continued to change the statistical survey method in favor of the government. For example, if the price of gold rises too high, gold is removed from the price index. This has the effect of lowering the inflation rate. Still, most countries have open financial markets and comply with international accounting standards to some extent. But in China, the one-party rule of the Communist Party and the long-term rule of Zhang Pinghua are added, and it is decided from where to what extent the manipulation is not even hard to do. Yuri put down her beer mug and asked carefully, "Senior, do you think there will be another financial crisis?" I said, muttering, "It's a financial crisis." The moment I heard Yuri's words, I felt something creepy. That's why the word has so much weight. But why is it a financial crisis and not an economic crisis? The reason is that the world economy is built to run on endless monetary expansion and debt. In the case of the 2008 global financial crisis, the problem started with real estate. However, a real estate crisis does not mean that buildings or houses collapse. Before and after the crisis, buildings and houses remain as they are. However, the number representing its value has changed. As real estate prices plummeted, people failed to repay their loans on time, and commercial banks that loaned them and investment banks that issued and bought related derivatives went bankrupt. Thousands of people have lost their homes, lost their jobs, and have been on the streets. The factories stopped and the things in the shops were not sold. A long line of people lined up in front of the food court. Even though I was young, the news I saw at the time remained vivid in my mind. What did those people do wrong? I would have just worked hard for my family. The financial crisis will come one day. In a market economy system, booms and depressions are inevitably repeated. Numerous economists have studied how the boom could last forever, but no such method has yet been found. For now, it is best to manage a crisis before it occurs and to come up with a quick response plan when a crisis occurs. The famous economist Alan Greenspan, who served as the chairman of the Federal Reserve, famously said, "Remove the plate when the party is in full swing." This means the central bank must prevent the economy from overheating. A colorful and wonderful party makes everyone happy, but the party is sure to end someday. The later the party ends, the greater the sequelae the next day. Someone has to step out and clear the champagne glasses and plates from the guests, and let them know that the party is over and it's time to go home. The problem is that no one wants the party to end. Everyone likes booms rather than recessions, expansions rather than tightening, and rises rather than declines. Even Alan Greenspan, who said that, failed to remove the plate in time. Yuri pushed his body forward and asked, "When do you think you will come?" I laughed bitterly. Well, wouldn't anyone be able to make money if they knew that? The real rich are born after a famine. When a crisis comes, everyone, big or small, suffers a loss. The common people have no choice but to sell their assets to survive the immediate crisis. However, the rich can afford to survive even in the face of a crisis. The rich buy stocks and real estate that are pouring in at bargain prices. When the recession ends and recovery begins, the plunging asset returns to its original value. So the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. In fact, after the IMF, the middle class collapsed, but the number of the rich increased significantly. This is why the financial crisis is more terrible for the common people. Unlike in the past, financial crises in modern society appear in a more complex form. In the case of the global financial crisis, if only loans were the problem, the crisis would not have occurred. However, investment companies created and sold derivatives such as ABS, asset-backed securities, MBS, housing mortgage securities, and CDOs, debt-backed securities, in order to obtain greater profits, which eventually acted as a bomb in the financial system. Humans, as always, create things that they do not understand or handle well. The way the United States solved the crisis was to get more money. So we lowered the real interest rate to 0%, and when that didn't work, we implemented quantitative easing to release the dollar at random. When the money supply increases, prices rise. However, the dollar is the reserve currency. Dollars printed by the United States spread all over the world, and inflation was exported abroad. Emerging countries have been partying with the dollars the US has sown. We know the party will be over someday, but everyone panicked when America suddenly started clearing the plates. China's economic growth rate has fallen seriously, Argentina's bankruptcy again, and it has been forced to open its hands with the International Monetary Fund (IMF), and Turkey is experiencing a severe foreign exchange crisis. The currency values of some emerging countries have plummeted in half, and to prevent this, the key interest rate has been raised to 4 or 50%. Some people see that as a precursor to the financial crisis. I don't care too much. Extreme crisis theory is bound to attract people's attention. When the financial crisis comes, it seems as if everything is over. At the time of the IMF, I thought Korea was going to collapse, and during the global financial crisis, it seemed that the financial system would come to an end. However, all the crises have been overcome and the global economy has continued to grow. Ellie smiled and said, "In the end, positivity wins over pessimism." Yuri nodded his head. "That's right, sister." I drank beer and thought. People have a firm belief that the national system and economic system will not collapse. So they are willing to take out a loan to buy a house and a car. If you live in a developed country, you wouldn't live worrying that one day there will be a World War class war and your life will be destroyed. However, it is possible that a financial crisis will destroy our daily life. Whereas war is an abstract and disappearing threat, the financial crisis is a clear and real threat. How robust is a system that we believe is okay? Several months have passed since Carlos released AD3 and AD4. In the meantime, self-driving electric vehicles have changed the world. A notable change is a reduction in the accident rate. 90% of accidents that occur in the Keros are caused by collisions with other vehicles, and the remaining 10% are due to external factors. There were no accidents due to system errors. Something goes wrong, stop the car before that or pass control to the driver. In addition, performance was improved through periodic software updates. In the past, when AD1 and AD2 were released, there were many articles warning of the dangers of autonomous driving technology, but there was no such talk anymore. While ramping up production capacity to handle the influx of orders, Keros introduced another new car. This is the self-driving truck T1. Strictly speaking, it is not a new car, and the self-driving system has been installed in the car that has been produced by Unsung Truck, which was acquired by Keros. It has already successfully completed several unmanned driving and platooning experiments. The basic system is the same as the AD series, but there are some differences in the modules as the vehicle is large and has a different shape. Due to its size, if an accident occurs once, the safety device has been strengthened as much as it leads to a major accident. Even before the launch, companies such as AMZ, Walmart, and FedEx pre-ordered hundreds of units and were willing to pay a down payment. Due to economic development and the growth of e-commerce, the demand for logistics continued to increase. However, the logistics industry is experiencing a serious manpower shortage due to poor working conditions and low income, and the aging and overwork of drivers is a serious problem. In fact, major accidents due to drinking and drowsiness occurred frequently. There was even a sense of crisis that the logistics could be cut off at any time. As autonomous trucks can solve such problems at once, it deserves to be called a logistics revolution. The trucks moved in line like a train just in case there was only one driver on the lead truck. Labor costs account for the largest share of trucking. Although it varies slightly from company to company, the proportion of labor costs is 40%, and the proportion of fuel costs is about 20%. It has been confirmed that labor costs can be reduced by 1/5 and fuel efficiency can be increased by more than 20% through air resistance and constant speed driving. Daryl said confidently. Karos T1 will significantly reduce logistics costs and reduce accidents dramatically. Karos worked with Tenway to create a subsidiary, jump into a logistics brokerage service, and hire a driver himself. In addition to improving the treatment of truck drivers, it was agreed with the drivers' union to re-educate the unemployed and give priority to hiring. The share price of related companies rose sharply as it was judged that profitability would improve due to labor cost reduction. As always, change comes faster than people think. And it is so easy to adapt to that change. When I was using a film camera, I didn't realize that it was inconvenient to be able to check the results right away, or to have to leave the prints to a photo studio. Because that was the normal procedure. However, the advent of digital cameras made the natural procedure to be inconvenient. As such, once a person adapts to a change, it is difficult to go back to the previous one. Until Karos launched the AD series, the prevailing expectation was that self-driving electric vehicles would be difficult to completely replace existing vehicles. But now it is clear. Just as cars made wagons disappear, self-driving electric vehicles will make conventional internal combustion locomotives extinct. Another newly opened market is infotainment. Driving is a task that requires a lot of concentration. This is because even a second or two glance can lead to a fatal accident. However, self-driving cars do not need to worry about the driver. All you have to do is just sit there just in case. Unlike before, it was possible to do business, study, or watch movies and TV shows while the car was moving. Related startups are popping up one after another, and existing companies have also jumped in. Faceit made use of its experience in the pornography market to enter the market. Contents used by customers were collected as big data in Karos and analyzed through Faceit's algorithm and recommended again. Just like the OS installed on computers or smartphones, the way to earn money through content sales has been opened. If you raise it well, it will become another cash cow. Samsung Electronics was active in linking its smartphone with the vehicle. By using the smartphone as a remote control to start the engine, warm up and input the driving route, all other automakers do this. It is connected so that various tasks previously performed with the smartphone can be performed in the vehicle. Read more at wuxiax.com. Google and Microsoft announced that they would actively cooperate to build an ecosystem, and Disney agreed to provide its own content. In the meantime, the world's largest market cap has been occupied by IT companies. Google, NPL, AMZ, MS, FaceNote, etc. In terms of the speed of technological development and operating profit, automobile companies did not compete with IT companies. The barriers between the engine and the mission have disappeared, and the self-driving electric vehicle, which runs on electricity and is equipped with various electronic equipment, existed at the point where IT companies and automobile companies met. Therefore, IT companies have been trying to enter the automobile market based on their enormous financial power. But now the opposite has happened. A good company should have a clear business objective. CEO Daryl said in an email to his employees. Our goal is one thing. It's about giving people the convenience and pleasure of moving. This meant limiting the business area to mobility and at the same time taking over the entire mobility market. There was a lot of work to be done in the future, such as targeting overseas markets, launching electric trucks and advancing into ride-sharing. Good companies attract good people and good people attract better people. Various talents flocked to Karos. There were a lot of people who moved from NPL, Google and Nikola. Karos, which started as a small startup, has grown into a mega company standing shoulder to shoulder with the IT dinosaurs. Apart from Karos's success, not a single dollar fell into the hands of OTK company. In fact, Karos has never paid a dividend since our acquisition. It was the same when the money was good or bad. Daryl and I agreed that we should continue to expand our business even if we give up immediate profits. As one expert said, there is no competitor as terrifying as a large corporation that has decided not to make a profit. In this case, he had to continue to receive investment through bonds or issuance of new shares, but Karos did not have to worry about that. This is because the holding company can provide any amount of financial support. New technologies create new demands and opportunities. In the process, some companies grow anew while others go out of business. South Korea, like the United States, decided to allow autonomous driving within a limited range, and the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport revised related laws. and it approved the import of Carlos AD series. There are two practical reasons for this. First, because they saw that China and Japan were beaten by the United States in turn over the automobile problem, they crawl on their own. Second, Unsung Motors is working with Karis, as they are already building an electric vehicle industry complex in Korea. And Unsung Motors is also making a major transition to self-driving electric vehicles. There is no reason to step out. 300 primary imports came to Korea through the port of Pyeongtaek. The first buyer of AD3 was Seosung Group Chairman Im Jin-young. Chairman Im Jin-young took over the car himself and test drove it with executives. And he said he would use it for work, and he took another 10. In the days when Seosung SB supplied batteries to BMW, BMW noticed, but now there is no need for that. Seosung Group is the strongest player in the field of battlefield and battery. Without the Seosung Group, it was far from possible to make an autonomous driving electric vehicle. So these days, BMW has been paying attention to Chairman Im Jin-young. Other large companies also rushed to purchase several units. We put AD3 and AD4 side by side in the parking lot. In addition, 10 units each were placed in the OTK Company and Golden Gate buildings so that employees can use them. The reason we haven't been able to bring the cars we invested into Korea is because we don't have licenses for self-driving cars. It is possible if there is a limit on the autonomous driving system, but then who would pay this price to get a Benz or a BMW and get an AD series? Fortunately, the restrictions have now been lifted, and autonomous driving is possible if the driver is seated. As road conditions differ from country to country and signal systems are different, it is necessary to recognize signs, traffic lights, and lanes anew. However, Karis autonomous driving system solved the problem easily through machine learning. When the car runs on the road, it learns by recognizing its surroundings. It has already learned road data from Korea and other countries, and it was possible to change it through software updates. It is truly the highest level of autonomous driving in existence. Since Karis has not yet officially entered Korea, a corporation has not been established and there is no service center. As soon as it was urgent, we consulted with Unsung Motors and decided to take care of repairs at several service centers in large cities. Since it's an electric car anyway, there's no need to change the oil and most things can be solved with an update, so there's no need to go there unless there is an accident. Except for the ones taken by companies out of a total of 300 cars, the rest belonged to ride-sharing companies, and they were not sold to general consumers. The reaction in Korea was also explosive. Everyone was amazed to see the car that runs on its own even if they put their hands on it, and reservations for renting a car to ride the AD3 and AD4 were lined up. Self-driving electric vehicles have become a global trend. The government decided to create a task force with KEPCO and large companies to expand power and install electric vehicle chargers across the country. As Korea has a small land area and a high population density, it is an optimal environment for building electric vehicle infrastructure. The problem is the power supply. When the number of electric vehicles increases, the amount of electricity consumption increases exponentially instead of the sales of gasoline and diesel. The government's nuclear phase-out policy has been put to a halt. The ruling party and civic groups emphasized the dangers of nuclear power and insisted on halting construction of nuclear power plants and shutting down old nuclear power plants, but it was not a simple matter. Alternative energies have limitations in meeting the demand for electricity, and thermal power plants have a risk of exacerbating the already serious fine dust. The government was also concerned about tax cuts. The annual fuel tax is about 2 trillion won. Taxes, which were easy to collect in the past, seem to be going down, so you need to take measures to deal with them. There are many things that need to be dealt with like this, but there was no sign of even opening the National Assembly as the ruling and opposition parties clashed. Even if you do, you will receive a steady monthly salary. I nodded my head at Taeyung's words. So everyone wants to be a member of parliament. You get paid even if you play. It really is a dream job. Taekyu said as if he had remembered something. Shigeru Ong contacted me earlier and I want you to lend me some money. I want to acquire a game company. How much do you need? $30 million? I nodded. Do whatever you want. I made more than 20 trillion won with one click, of which 5 trillion won was used to establish the foundation. What can I not do? While Carlos flew into the AD series, Facit wasn't even playing. In fact, the most profitable company OTK company has invested in is Facit, not Carlos. Even in the days when Carlos was struggling with the loss and was pouring money, Facit had already created a profit model. And all of that money was spent on R&D. Last year he acquired an adult product company called Dancing Rabbit, and studied how to combine it with VR technology. VR, which was considered a technology of the distant future, has been commercialized to some extent. Instead of arcades and karaoke rooms in the city center, VR rooms were built, and people enjoyed virtual reality unfolding in front of them with their devices. This also applies to the sex industry. No, to be precise, the sex industry was at the forefront of VR technology. Advances in robotics and artificial intelligence have opened up new possibilities for the sex industry. After long research, Facit launched the first VR sex device, Annie, which combines VR and real dolls on the market. Toby and Gerard proudly said that pornography is now more than just a watch but a play. I sleep with Annie every day. You too always be with Annie. The slogan was, Anytime Annie. The way it works is to put on a VR device and hug a real doll. Then, the real doll made a sound and moved according to the video and adjusted the strength and weakness. Videos of 20 porn stars carefully selected by Facit were provided as standard, and content will be added continuously in the future. Additional content had to be paid separately. The set is $5,990. It's not an insignificant amount. Isn't that too expensive? What are you talking about? Considering the technology in there, it's cheap. With that, you can meet all the beauties around the world, right? A Chanel bag is $5,000. Isn't that better than giving it as a gift? When you think about it that way, it feels cheap. The important thing is that you don't have a relationship if you spend 100 days anyway. I can't rebut it, TT. From today on, my lover is Annie. From now on, the night will not be lonely. Give up dating neatly and buy one. The first sale was sold out as soon as it was released. The press praised it as one of the greatest inventions of the 21st century. Undoubtedly, it was a combination of software and hardware, and it meant a great transformation in the porn industry. Experts also expressed concern, saying that advances in technology may change human sexual life. Some American women's groups and Christian groups gathered in front of the headquarters and strongly protested. VR sex devices are products that commercialize female sex. Stop selling right now. Toby replied calmly. What we do is commercialize the original sex. That's why we plan to launch products for women soon. There were some controversies, but there was no product, so I couldn't sell it. Inspired by its success in the United States, Facit was subsequently launched in Japan. Japan has a very developed adult product industry. If you succeed here, you will have a foothold to expand into the world. One problem is that after the order mistake at Nishida Securities, the antipathy has grown to the point that they have launched a campaign to withdraw from Facit. When the news of Annie's release became known, internet sites in Japan were flooded. You're going to make money in Japan after doing that? If you buy that, you can make money after the earthquake. Let's not forget what happened to Japan. It's enough for us to enjoy Japanese AV. Japan may be smaller than the US, but Japan is a great AV country. There are world-famous AV actors and excellent performance adult products. I will not accept the VR sex device that Jinhu Kong has invested in, even if it is given to me for free. Take this opportunity to drive Facit out of the archipelago. Japanese men unite. Japanese netizens have made a firm resolve not to buy. But somehow, as soon as reservations started, the Facit server went down. The first 690 units were sold out in an instant, and doubled the price immediately. Inquiries were pouring in whether additional quantities could be obtained. That's right. Promise not to buy each other and look at the back of the head. That's why I don't believe what Japanese girls say. But why don't you sell it in Korea? It was made with investment by Jinho Kong, so why isn't it released in Korea? Whoa. VR sex devices in the Eastern Court of Courtesy. Scholars are angry. To see only legal adult content that has passed government review. Who sees it? Does it make sense to say that porn is not allowed in an era when self-driving electric vehicles are running on the road? Hurry up the extraordinary parliament and deal with the porn law first. Only lawmakers who haven't seen the porn press oppose. Jidul is watching porn from behind, and if you press the other side your wrist will fly away. I love you, Senator Song GWNM happy face. He is a member of the male GWI. Why the hell do you keep calling me Song Wyman? Unsurprisingly, Korea banned imports. This is because pornography is illegal in the first place and real dolls are vulgar and promiscuous toys that undermine public morals. Representative Nam Gui proposed a bill to legalize pornography, but the bill was delayed because the National Assembly did not open. The opposition party strongly opposes it, and even though it belongs to the ruling party, the leisure minister also opposes the union. Scholars from all walks of life, including women's groups, conservative groups, Christian groups and parents' groups, also joined, and it was unclear whether the bill passed. Several times a day, we receive requests to participate in business meetings, parties and various events. Since there is nothing to say about going to such a place, I usually decline everything. It would be better to read Oh Taekgyu's recommended masterpieces at that time. However, there is an important event not to be missed this month. It is the wedding of Young Ki-hong, the head of public relations team. The opponent is Ju Hyun-jong, an employee of the same company. The decision to raise the ceremony was 2 months ago. The reason I decided to hold the wedding in such a hurry was because I was speeding, as everyone guessed. Sang Yip, who heard the story, wiped away a cold sweat for nothing. I have to be careful not to be dragged to the wedding hall in one shot. No matter how careful you are in this matter, it is not enough. Aren't you married? At my question, Sanjiop senpai firmly shook his head. I will not. I will play until I am 40. It's kind of strange to think that the seniors I went to college with are getting married. Both of them are employees of our company who joined us from the beginning. Due to the lack of time, the wedding was held in an instant. Both parents agreed that the condolences they had spent so far should be returned at this opportunity. Isn't the purpose of a Korean wedding to invite as many people as possible to fill the seats and collect as many congratulations as possible? But there are some problems here. That is, Ki-hong Young and Hyun-jong Ju are in the same university and the same department. In this case, a large part of the customer base overlaps. Besides, our company has fewer than 100 employees. I was worried that there would be fewer guests from both families, so I considered holding the ceremony on a smaller scale. However, Senior Ki-hong is one of the few team leaders in OTK company. Are there no guests to come? The employees are getting married, but there is not much I can do as a representative, so I decided to just set up a wedding hall and send a honeymoon in a private plane. I was worried that I might not be able to find a wedding hall because the ceremony was held so quickly, but luckily I was able to rent a wedding hall at the Salon Hotel. Hotel weddings are notorious for being as difficult to book as the cost. Fortunately, it was cancelled, so I was able to make a reservation right away. I was lucky. President Lim Soo-mi said with a smile. This happens often. Some weddings are cancelled right before the wedding. There are a lot of divorces in life, but no one knows until you go into the dining room. Anyway, I got a 20% discount on the cost. On the day of the wedding, wreaths lined up endlessly in front of the ceremony hall. I arrived at the wedding hall early with Sanjiop Sr. and met Ki-hong Sr. Taekgyu decided to come separately with his older sister Hyunju. Senior Ki-hong, dressed in her robes, looks very nervous. Senior Sanjiop asked, "Are you mentally ready?" "I think it's probably less." "What about Hyunjong?" "It's in the bridal room." We headed to the bridal suite. There was a senior Hyunjong wearing a bridal makeup and a white wedding dress sitting there. When we entered, her friends who were with Hyunjong were startled. "I sincerely congratulate you. Be happy." Hyunyoung smiled brightly. "Thank you." As I came out after saying hello, Ki-hong's father said urgently, "Kicheol's road is blocked and he says he'll arrive late. Is there anyone who can accept the congratulatory money?" "We will." As I raised my hand, Senior Ki-hong opened her eyes like that. "Yeah. Are you a representative?" "For today, as a junior in school, I have to help out." Sanjiop Sr. received the congratulatory money, and I decided to hand out meal tickets next to him. On the bride's side, Yuri took on the same role as me. Immediately, a guest came, held out an envelope and wrote his name in the guest book. "How many food vouchers would you like?" 2 chapters. Ugh. The guest who received the meal ticket opened his mouth wide in surprise. "Wait, is it Kang Jin-hoo?" The next guest had a similar reaction. Sanjiop Sr. nodded her head as if he understood. Seosong Electronics employee is getting married, and Chairman Im Jin-young is handing out meal tickets. Not only the seniors who graduated but also the classmates and juniors in school came to visit. Hong Senpai was close with the people of her department, so that she often visits the university even after graduating. Min Young and Kyunggil arrived together. What? Why are you handing out food stamps? As I am a junior. Who else but me can do it in our company? Min Young said worriedly. If students have to pay a lot, it must be 50,000 won. If a lot of juniors come and eat, isn't Ki Hong making a deficit? Okay. 'Cause I'm paying it all, tell your juniors to eat without worrying too much. I also prepared the most expensive meal for you. Kyung-ail said as if envious. Can't you do that to my wedding? Are there any women you want to marry? I'll have to look for it from now on. Judging from this, it seems that I didn't do well with the female student in the Department of Aviation Services at Seine University, who was given a number based on my sacrifice? The other day, Sumi Lim, the president, brought her mother with us. She's in the same building anyway, so all you have to do is take the elevator down. Behind her were several of her aunts. It seems like everyone is following their mother somehow. Who are these people? Mom friends. These are the people I made friends with in the member lounge. The ladies rushed to greet me. Hello, CEO Kong Jin-hoo. Oh my, it's nice to see you here. I heard a lot from my mother. How? You look even better when you see it in person. I think the vice president hasn't come yet. President Sumi Lim said in a low voice. You are business wives. Ah. She also visited OTK Company and Korean companies that do business with K Company. Not employees but executives and bosses. When the chairman and the presidents appeared in a line, the employees were bewildered and President Lim Sumi personally went out to serve. Welcome, President Choi Hyun-woong. Ah. Long time no see, Mr. Lim Sumi. How have you been? Of course. I will guide you to the seat over there. Again, when the boss gave orders from the front line, the employees moved quickly. Professor Haman Kim came with his researchers in a neat suit. The bosses who arrived first greeted them quickly. Nice to meet you, Professor. I am late, but congratulations on winning the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. I just wanted to say hello. As a fellow scientist, I respect you. Senior Ki-hong and Hyun-jong's parents put on expressions that seemed to pass out at the influx of guests. So did relatives and guests. Come to think of it, there are only 2 Nobel laureates here. And now, even Chairman Im Jin-young appeared. I am Jin-young Lim of Seosong Group. I sincerely congratulate you on your marriage, team leader. Jong Ki-hong. Go, thank you, Chairman. Chairman Im Jin-young came to me and held out a thick envelope. Can I get you a meal ticket? Yes. There are a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time, so I'm going to eat. Other presidents say they will arrive soon. The line to pay the congratulatory money was long, and the envelopes piled up. Senior Sanjiop glanced at her just-received envelope. Wow, President Sung Ji-taek put it in dollars. Inside the envelope were about $2,100 bills. Senior Sanjiop had his taste buds for nothing. I would buy a house even if I had just saved money. You bought one in Cheongdam. It is not easy to buy a house in Gangnam by collecting salaries these days, but it is possible if you are an employee of OTK Company. Still, half of it is a loan, so the congratulatory money received today will be of great help in repaying the debt. Belatedly, Senior Ki-hong's cousins arrived, and Sang Yeep and I were freed from the envelope and meal ticket charge. Ju Hyun-young left the girls' high school. At that time, 4 of her close friends gathered to celebrate. A few days ago we all practiced a congratulatory song together. A wedding at the Salon Hotel. Isn't this where celebrities get married? Right. Last time, Hallyu stars Kim Hyuk-min and Shin Hye-in also got married here. It would be very expensive. CEO Kong Jin-hoo told me that we were going to get married as an in-house couple and seniors from the department. You know what's even more awesome? What? They say that for their honeymoon, they sent it to Cancun on a plane dedicated to OTK Company. Hey. Great. It was really crazy. I entered OTK Company and it was a huge hit. Our company has no clue about that. Before going inside, Min-ji-oh suddenly took out a mirror and checked her makeup. What is it? Isn't there a lot of good guys out there? All OTK Company employees will also come. Isn't that where the original relationship comes from? At those words, the other friends all pulled out their mirrors at once. What if Kong Jin-hoo talks to you? Fufu, don't be silly. Haven't you seen Kong Jin-hoo's girlfriend? She was really pretty. After completing their preparations, they went inside and met Ju Hyun-jong in the bridal waiting room. Congratulations, Hyun-young. Today is so pretty. Girl. He said he would be getting married late and he caught me right away. Originally, these kids went the fastest. Ju Hyun-young said with a smile. Thank you for coming, guys. See you later. After leaving the bride's waiting room, they looked around the ceremonial hall. But after a while, an unbelievable scene unfolded before my eyes. Jin Hu-kong gave her meal tickets and the president, Sumi Lim, gave her directions. The presidents of large corporations that you would only see on the news came in one after another. When Professor Ho-min Kim, who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry, and Jin Yong Lim, chairman of the Susong Group, appeared, they were astonished. No, that's absurd. What is this? What kind of conglomerate heir wedding is this? Henry and Hyunju's older sister and Taekyu and Ellie arrived together. Henry in a suit exudes an atmosphere like a Hollywood actor. He could see the eyes of the women around him turning. However, he was holding Hyunju's sister's hand tightly, and the women turned their gaze again. Taekyu wore a newly tailored suit for the first time after losing weight, and Ellie wore a beige one-piece. I didn't know that, but it is said that it is polite for women to avoid fancy clothes or white dresses at weddings, and not to put on heavy makeup. The reason is to make the bride stand out. Is there such a rule? Of course. The main character of the wedding is the bride. I'm a man, so I didn't go to many weddings, so I didn't know. As we were talking, a woman approached us and greeted us. Hello, Taekyu. See you here again. The woman who spoke to me was Young Hannah. She, too, is dressed neatly without being flashy to fit her position. Nevertheless, she boasted an attractive beauty enough to attract the attention of those around her. I'm here because her father couldn't come because of her business trip, she said. It was. I pat Taikyu's back slightly. Give me some guidance. What guidance? It's my first time here. It is not. She said one sheep she pretended not to hear. Please introduce the staff, Mr. Taekyu. Yes. Introduction. Taekyu suddenly followed Young Hannah. The two seemed to get along well, so I want to support them. I went all over the place to say thank you for attending. Meanwhile, the wedding started. The moderator was Ki-hong's senior friend and the officiant was Professor Kim Myung-jun. The ballad singer Sanjeop Sr. cast through her EDM entertainment and Hyunjong Sr.'s friends sang a congratulatory song. The wedding march rang, congratulatory cannons went off and people applauded. When I think of a senior who ate jajangmyeon at the billiard room together, became a star in the PC room and drank in the chat room is getting married, somehow I am proud of everything. Taekyu said to Hyunju's sister. Your sister should get married too. Do you know that mom and her dad are begging for money back for the congratulations and condolences they've spent so far? Afterwards. Before, I couldn't hold a wedding because of my child, but now, can't we just hold the ceremony? However, Hyunju's older sister was not very interested in her wedding. She really wanted Henry to have the ceremony as soon as possible. If she holds a ceremony, perhaps it will be a very luxurious wedding ceremony that is hard to compare with this time. After the wedding, the two went on a honeymoon trip to Cancun in an OTK company private plane. As Hyunjong is pregnant, she plans to return after resting in the fresh air. As two people left out of the already small number of people, the remaining people became even busier. Yuri, who took over her job in advance, filled the position where Hyunjong was missing. Meanwhile, the person whom Taekyu respects the most came to the headquarters. This is Shigeru Ichikawa, the president of OTK Games. Lost Fantasy M, which he released independently from Linux Pentagon, recorded an unprecedented hit in mobile game history, and now the development of Lost Fantasy Online is almost finished. The closed beta service has already been completed, and the open beta service is ahead. Welcome. Nice to meet you. This is Shigeru Ichikawa. We said goodbye and sat down. He first revealed his prospects for Lost Fantasy Online. This is a compilation of the Lost Fantasy series that have been released so far. You can look forward to it. Read more at wuxiax.com. In fact, there were a lot of applicants from all over the world who wanted to participate in the beta service. And game experts also predicted that they would be able to secure at least 300,000 concurrent users. This is a huge hit. The 500,000 people pay $30 a month, that's $15 million. This amount is pouring in every month. Whether it can continue to attract those users is another question, though. After talking about Lost Fantasy Online, Mayor Shigeru brought up another story. I want to make games using VR devices. Taekyu asked. Aren't there games like that already? Game companies have continued research and development on how to apply VR technology to games, and some companies have even launched VR game consoles. However, it did not become very popular. This is because the operation method is not intuitive compared to the existing keyboard or pad, and there is no content to enjoy properly. What I want to make is a virtual reality online game. I remembered the story I heard from Take-You. I know I've failed once before. After the first VR devices came out, he ambitiously challenged to combine them with online games. The result is devastating. The game could not even be released and only a large amount of development cost was blown away. President Shigeru smiled bitterly. At that time the technology was not mature. VR devices were also crude, and there was no communication network or cloud computing to handle the flood of information. But now things are different. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, robot technology, wireless communication network, etc. We have the technology to turn ideas into reality. You can tell just by looking at the anime released by Faceit, right? In VR technology itself, IT dinosaurs such as Nplay and FaceNote are ahead. However, the company that took the lead in commercializing and popularizing it was Faceit. Keras is also ahead of artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies. The most important thing is that OTK company can provide sufficient funds for development. Unlike in the past, the development environment is sufficiently developed both technically and financially. But is it possible to create a world just like reality? Take-You shook his head at my question. Games don't necessarily have to embody reality. It's literally just virtual reality. Let's think. Even though the movie came out, the animation still exists. It doesn't matter if it's 2D or 3D. The important thing is for gamers to perceive it as reality. We didn't have any problems with the game even in the days of Dot. That's right. With just a few dots and lines, a human being can be interpreted and accepted as a person, as a face and what kind of expression he makes. That's why we cry and laugh while watching the anime. Let's think about it. When Microsoft bought Mojang, the creator of Minecraft, for $2.5 billion, internal concerns abounded. However, Minecraft has become one of the best-selling games in the world, and is still creating a lot of content and added value. What if you could create a virtual reality game that people around the world could enjoy? How much do you think the development cost is? It's $10 billion. Sanjiop-senpai was startled by President Shigeru's reply. 11 trillion won? 11 trillion to make one game.